Hi everyone, I'm Robert Moody. I'm the music director of the Portland Symphony Orchestra, and we're talking now about the second Tuesday classical concert of our 2015-2016 season. This is going to be a fantastic concert, a unique concert. The concert is called Enchanted Favorites. I've also begun to call the concert a concert of fairy tales, and I will talk to you a little bit about the subtle reason for the difference in those two titles. All three pieces have some aspect of fairy tale to them. The first piece and the final piece are directly connected to this land of enchantment, this idea of the fairy tale. We're opening the concert with some of the most beautiful ballet music I've ever heard and ever had the privilege to conduct. It's music by Sergei Prokofiev from his ballet Cinderella. Now, we will be doing this without dancers and only a segment of the ballet. Prokofiev knew that this music was incredibly powerful on its own, even without the dance, so much so that he ended up writing a number of different suites from the full ballet. We're going to play for you the first suite from Cinderella, which ends with, I think, some of the greatest music Prokofiev ever wrote. The final two segments are Cinderella's Waltz and Midnight. When you hear the waltz, it always sounds to me like this is something that Tim Burton should choreograph, you know, for a TV show or a movie like Nightmare Before Christmas. It's got this great sinister edge to it. And then there will be no doubt in your mind when midnight comes in the music. You can hear the tick-tock of the clock as everything begins to unravel and Cinderella has to flee. Incredibly powerful music, very thick orchestration, and actually the thickness of the orchestration and the very intense modern writing of the final piece made me think that we should have in the middle a work that was, I think the best way to say to you is like a sorbet would be at a meal, a cleansing of the palate. So we're going to give you, right after the Prokofiev, a Haydn symphony. Franz Joseph Haydn, one of the greatest composers of the classical era, wrote actually 103 symphonies. We're going to perform Symphony 69. Now, I mentioned something about fairy tale. Here's the slight connection to fairy tale, and that is for the title of the Haydn. It's the 69th symphony that he wrote, and it is a very uplifting, clean, effervescent, powerful symphony in a very arch classical way. He gave it no title whatsoever, but his publishers felt that the piece would do better if it had a title connected to something going on in the day. There was a general in the Habsburg Empire, his last name was Laudon, and they begged Haydn to call this the Laudon Symphony and dedicate it to this general, and then they would tell people that the symphony was really about the general's great victories. Haydn said basically, well, if it helps the symphony sell more, then sure, go ahead and give it that name. So there's kind of the fairy tale part about that. So I mentioned to you that the first piece was from a ballet, Prokofiev's Cinderella, and I specifically mentioned that we were not using dancers. I did that on purpose because we have something very special for this classics concert, something that we have certainly never done in my tenure with the Portland Symphony Orchestra, and maybe haven't done before ever on a classics concert. And that is, instead of having a guest violinist, a guest piano concerto soloist, we actually have a guest ballet company. Now, this ballet company is no stranger to the Portland Symphony Orchestra or to Portland audiences. It is the Portland Ballet Company, an incredible company right here in our city. We have talked about trying to find ways to collaborate over the years, and in fact we have collaborated on other concert series, our Discovery concert series for example, but now we get a chance to collaborate on one of our classic cycles. The timing is right. We remembered that this was the 150th anniversary of the writing of the book Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, and that prompted us in discussion to say maybe we could find a piece to choreograph the story of Alice in Wonderland. Turns out there's a composer who has written a great amount of music based on this fairy tale. He's a living American composer. His name is David Del Tredici, and especially in the 1970s, David became, well, obsessed with the story of Alice. He wrote reams of material regarding Alice and her character and the other characters in the story. Finally, he brought it down to one concise piece that behaves like a symphony, and he called it, well, an Alice Symphony. That's the piece that we're going to perform for you. the orchestra is going to be pushed back well upstage to give a nice amount of room downstage for the dancers of the Portland Ballet Company. They are going to be led and choreographed by Roberto Forleo, and Roberto is here with us now. And I think maybe I will start by asking you this question, Roberto, before talking about the choreography, and that is, how did you get to Portland, and when did you begin dancing? How and when did dance become this part of your life?
Well, I started dancing in Italy. I'm from Italy.
Okay.
When I was 12 years old, quite late actually,
Ah.
to start ballet, and then it became my passion pretty soon. Like 14 years old, I knew that I wanted to become a ballet dancer.
Wow.
And then I moved to another school, a professional school, northern Italy, and then went to Switzerland to finish my studies. And then at 17 years old, I started my professional career as a dancer. Now Portland, it's funny. I was in New York before coming to Portland, and I wanted to kind of start stopping dancing and do something else, teaching more and choreograph. So I found online a job in Portland, and I applied, and 2 weeks later I had a response.
Wow.
Then I interviewed, and I came here as a director of the pre-professional program of Portland School of Ballet. So I only have high school students that they want to become professional dancers, so they have a big training every day for 3 hours a day.
I see. And so you've been in Portland for how long?
2 years.
And the company, Portland Ballet, consists of younger dancers who are in training, but also a company of professional dancers.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Portland, yeah, that's correct. Portland Ballet Company is it has 15 professional dancers.
Okay.
And my students there in the pre-professional program also collaborate with the company a few times a year for Nutcracker.
Yes.
Or the spring show with the company.
For this Alice Symphony, I started to say Alice in Wonderland, but really this piece is more sort of a set of just images, if you will, from the story. So for the Alice Symphony, which dancers are involved? Is it the company? Is it a bit of both?
Is the company dancers.
And tell us a little bit about the choreography. What you were the creative vision behind the movement we're going to see.
Yes.
How does that? What's it about?
Well, I was really inspired by the music of the tradition, and I want to work with the dancers in the Portland Ballet Company is mostly classical ballet company, and that is I think it's a way to break a little bit the academic of the ballet and go more towards a contemporary vision of the dance and the movement, as the tradition also did with the music.
Yeah.
So back in the day, it went like in another direction, trying to break the academic of the music, and so that's the direction I want to take. And I was especially inspired by the Lobster Quadrille. It's an amazing piece, and so I'm gonna use my dancers, and I'm gonna have a lot of lobsters on stage, and it's great for Poland. And so yeah, Alice, she's gonna have an amazing journey through Portland Old Port and meet this lobster shop where it's a queen of the lobsters. Nice. She runs the shop, and she has in the back of the shop she has a lot of lobster.
Nice.
And she wants to show Alice all her lobsters and how they dance, and she's gonna try to make Alice dancing with the lobster.
Nice. And
try to try to take Alice to become a lobster too. So this is kind of my vision on the piece.
Well, and as you said, it couldn't be more perfect for Portland.
Exactly.
And it's funny, I would like to say that I thought of that early on in the process, that I saw that one of the movements was the famous Lobster Quadrille, and I thought, oh, lobster and Portland, but I didn't think of it until you started talking about the choreography. And then I thought, wow, what nice serendipity that we chose this piece, because of course Maine's affinity and Maine's connection to that greatest of foods, in my opinion. So it's perfect. It's sort of a perfect marriage. The piece, the Del Tredici composition, is definitely through the looking glass. This is modern composition. Calls for dancers, orchestra, and one soprano who is also narrator. So she narrates the story at times, she sings at times. We have a phenomenal soprano. Her name is Margaret Haig. She has trained most recently in Cambridge and at the Cleveland Institute of Music. And I say that to say that her specialties are Baroque music and modern music, which I find is often the case. People who excel in very early music are the ones who excel best at the most recent of music. So you're in for a real treat, a once in a at least 90-year experience with the Portland Symphony Orchestra, this gathering together on a classics concert of incredible dance, incredible music. A great Enchanted Favorites evening. Hope to see you there.